Okay, so this past New Year's Eve, something absolutely wild went down. The world's most powerful people, we're talking billionaires, A-list celebs, and massive influencers, all showed up on one tiny Caribbean island. And the photos, they completely took over social media. Today, we're going to break down exactly what happened in St. Barts. All right, let's get right into it. The whole thing really kicked off with this one question that just blew up online as all this footage started to leak. I mean, we've never really seen so many rich and famous people all in one place at one time. It wasn't just another party. It felt like something bigger. And the sheer scale of this thing, it was just mind-blowing. 226. That's how many super yachts were crammed into the harbor of Gustavia in St. Barts. And to give you some perspective, that's a huge jump from the year before. So you just knew something different was in the air this time. Then this claim started making the rounds online, that over 80% of the entire world's wealth was in one tiny spot for a couple of days. Now, whether that number is 100% accurate, who knows, but it totally captures how people saw this. This wasn't just the 1%. This was like the 1% times of the 1%, all creating what people started calling a billionaire traffic jam. So that begs the question, right? Why St. Barts? What is it about this one little island that makes it the ultimate playground for the global elite? Well, St. Barts is basically engineered for exclusivity. You can't just hop on a commercial flight there. There's no major airport, just this tiny runway for small private jets. Hotels, super limited and crazy expensive. The result is a place with basically zero mass tourism. So if you're there for New Year's, you're supposed to be there, and the real A-listers, they don't even stay on the island. Nope, they're on their own private floating palaces just offshore. And this chart right here, it just shows you how much this thing exploded this year. Last year, you had about 170 super yachts. This year, it jumped to 226. That's more than 50 extra mega yachts all showing up at the same tiny party. Okay, so we've got the super exclusive location, we've got a record-breaking number of boats. So who was actually on them? This is where things get really interesting, because the guest list is what set the internet on fire. I mean, the guest list was basically a who's who of, well, everyone who's anyone today. You've got your tech billionaires like Jeff Bezos. You've got sports royalty like Michael Jordan and Tom Brady. Hollywood stars like Leo DiCaprio and Nina Dobrev. And, of course, the new kind of royalty, top influencers like Alex Earl. It was like every corner of modern power all in one place. And listen, some of these weren't just boats, you know? They were making a statement. Take Jeff Bezos' super yacht, the Kourou. It's worth $500 million. It was an attraction all by itself. So big, it needed its own support ships and a security detail just circling it 24/7. That's the kind of insane wealth and power we're talking about here. So when you get this much power, money, and fame all packed into one tiny, isolated island, you just know the internet is going to have some theories. And boy, did it. People immediately started speculating about what was really going on behind all those glamorous party pics. Okay, so to get what people were talking about, you need to know this one slang term, yachting. It's basically online shorthand for a theory that public figures like influencers or actresses are hooking up with the super rich for a big payday. And suddenly, you started seeing comments like this one everywhere. She's on a yacht. She's working. Thousands of them, under every picture of an influencer or an actress at this party. The insinuation was pretty clear. They weren't just there to party. They were there on business. So this is really the heart of the debate, right? This total split in how people saw it. Was it just an over-the-top A-list vacation where rich people hang out with their famous friends? Or was something else going on? A kind of transaction where some of the guests were basically, as one person put it, celebrity pets for the billionaires. And the online chatter got super specific, really zeroing in on younger women like TikToker Alex Earl and actress Nina Dobrev. People were flooding their comments, basically suggesting this was some kind of new career choice for them. It got pretty nasty. But look, even if you ignore all the wild conspiracy theories, just the sight of all this crazy, in-your-face wealth, it really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The backlash was huge. And a huge part of that backlash was just straight-up moral outrage. You saw comments like this one all over the place. These disgusting people could eradicate homelessness. Look what they do instead. People were just disgusted by the sheer excess of it all, especially when there are so many real-world problems. And this wasn't just, random people yelling on the internet. Even the locals on the island were complaining. They said the huge wall of yachts looked tacky, and ruined their view. Other critics called the whole scene cringe, and the general vibe was that these people are just living in a completely different reality from the rest of us. Okay, but here's where the story takes a turn. While that whole yachting theory was getting all the attention, some people started digging into the guest list a little deeper, and they found connections that suggest something else entirely might have been going on. All right, so check this out. It's like a puzzle pieced together by internet detectives. The big party yacht, the Kismet, was hosted by the CEO of a tech company. One of his most visible guests, Alex Earl. But it turns out her invitation was likely connected to another guest, a guy named Miles Shear. And who's he? He's a co-founder of a group that is a lead investor in, wait for it, Alex Earl's own beverage company. See the connection? And suddenly, that changes everything, doesn't it? This reframes the whole thing not as some seedy arrangement, but as a really strategic business affair. It's a place to connect investors with brands and brands with influencers. The lines between a party and a high-stakes networking event just completely blur. For someone like Alex Earl, this trip wasn't just a vacation. It was work. So in the end, what do we make of all this? Maybe the whole St. Bart's thing is just the perfect snapshot of what power looks like now. It's not just about money anymore. It's this wild mix of wealth, celebrity, and online influence all swirled together. Which leaves us with one final question to chew on. When you've got celebrities, influencers, and billion-dollar deals all happening on the same yacht, what does the word party even mean anymore?